All right, a lot happening up on Capitol Hill. A lot of very frustrated conservatives after last week and that debacle with the spending bill. Let's bring into the conversation Congressman Scott Perry from Pennsylvania. Congressman, good to have you with us today.
Well, Todd, it's great to be with you. And quite honestly, it's great to be out of Washington thinking about the resurrection of the good Lord, because I'll tell you, the only thing that was resurrected in Washington, D.C. was the good old days of John Boehner and Paul Ryan. And look, there's only so much of that a person can take, whether you're working in Washington, D.C. or whether you're watching it from, your home far away from Washington, D.C. It was the good old days of John Boehner and Paul Ryan. And look, there's only so much of that a person can take, whether you're working in Washington, D.C. or whether you're watching it from, your home far away from Washington, D.C. It's just, it is painful to endure.
Well, no doubt. It's painful for us to watch. It's been awful, to be honest with you. And I think what really got me is Speaker Johnson. He was a regular on this show. Then he becomes Speaker of the House. All communication is cut off. We're being told that we're not the only ones. Even members of the House Freedom Caucus have been told they really don't have much interaction with Speaker Johnson anymore. I'm curious, Congressman, do you know who is giving him this counsel and guidance?
Todd, I don't know. I don't know what happens to these guys when they ascend the ladder of leadership, especially to the Speaker's position. Now, to his credit, the Speaker, Mike Johnson, did come to the weekly dinner, the Freedom Caucus dinner, and he spent about an hour and a half with us last week. And I got to tell you, that's, other speakers have never done that. They have worked against us every single step of the way. The problem is that if you're accused of being a conservative, is there ever going to be any evidence to prove that you were? And in this case, it's one thing to say it, but it's wholly another thing to do it, right? Because as we say in the hillbilly land of South Central Pennsylvania, talk is cheap, right? And, there's an old saying that money talks and bullcrap, that walks. And so we're looking for the proof of this conservatism, which is now, the left describes as radical. The support of the Constitution is radical, and this willingness not to bankrupt the country is somehow a radical concept. Well, we went over $34 trillion in debt between December and January. We're going to be at 35 in May. We're clipping off $1 trillion extra borrowed, printed, conjured up dollars every 100 days here now, 100 to 120 days. The country simply can't sustain financially this pace. And as importantly, the policies that go along with it. The only thing we have left, the only leverage we have is, as members of the legislature, is the money. And if we're going to keep on paying for things that we are objectionable to, the left is just going to keep purchasing those things with the money that we allocate to them. So, it's just a complete slap in the face of the taxpayer.
So I want to jump in here. I have so many questions about this. So there's a lot of anger now because apparently tucked away in all of this, what 1,000-page bill, there was a new rule that says you're not allowed to fly the gay pride flag outside any government buildings, which is great. I get that. But Mike Johnson is saying, and by the way, the White House is working to reverse that decision. Mike Johnson is saying, well, he worked really hard to get that in the bill. Why? Why would you work hard to do that when you're funding transgender policies by the millions of dollars and these late-term abortion facilities? Really, you were focusing your time on banning the gay pride flag? That makes no sense to me.
Well, it's probably the one thing that the Democrats and the left would relent on, knowing that, number one, the Biden administration would be working day and night to reverse that, and also knowing that they were getting every single thing else of consequence that they wanted. And, I think the real question should be, look, every team that misses the touchdown pass or even the first down, pass is criticized by their own members, and certainly that's due here as much as anything else. But let's not forget that the reason we're having these arguments, these disagreements, these discussions where we lose is that the other side doesn't agree with us at all, that the only thing that should fly over American embassies is the American flag. They don't agree with us at all that the border should be secure. They don't agree with us at all that we should try and not bankrupt the country. That's why we have these fights, because we have one half of the legislature that doesn't even acknowledge common sense and normalcy. They don't acknowledge it whatsoever. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that we fail and that we're weak and don't get the job done. But, I mean, look what we're up against. We don't even get one or two of these people to come along with us. We get none of them.
On the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line right now with Scott Perry, a congressman from Pennsylvania, member of the House Freedom Caucus. So all of this gets, and by the way, this gets kicked down the road further to September. We are now funding the government at levels higher than when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House. And you and I both know there's no way that they're going to allow the government to shut down right before the November elections. That's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So what I think we ought to do is now, while the wound is fresh and everybody seems to love this spending level, let's see if we can lock them in until, I don't know, let's say March of next year, so we don't have to deal with a September impasse. And by March, we'll have a President Trump. Hopefully we'll have a reinvigorated House with people that want to actually serve there to save the republic. And maybe we can win a few seats in the Senate and flip that thing over so that we can get some kind of a rollback in this out-of-control spending and a complete reversal of this out-of-control policy that the left has imposed upon us.
Let's assume that, and shockingly, that the Republicans do maintain control of the House. Is Speaker Johnson your guy, or do you guys have to go with somebody else?
Well, it's a little early to handicap that, especially if you don't know who else is in the race. But what I can tell you, Todd, is that we simply, on behalf of our constituents and, quite honestly, our oath to the Constitution and the country, cannot abide more of the same kind of judgment and decision-making that has led to the current position that we find ourselves.
I mean, he's making every decision he's made is a decision a Democrat speaker would make. That's my issue here, is I'm not seeing much of a difference. And I'm concerned that Paul Ryan and John Boehner are giving this guy advice.
Well, I don't know if they're giving them advice, but I did have to lament to our speaker that when I come into Washington on, Monday for votes, it's kind of very much reminiscent to me of the days when John Boehner was the speaker and you came in and Barack Obama was the president, and it seemed like there was nothing we were willing to stand up for our country for. There was no risk that we were willing to take. There was nothing we were willing to do to stop their agenda. And I do question some of my colleagues on my side of the aisle. I think to myself, and I've said this to them, what is it going to take before you will finally stand up and say, we are not going to do this anymore, and you just can't count on me to vote for anything until X? What is that? I need to know what that point is. I mean, we got a wide open border where I think that most of our law enforcement agencies are saying that it's not a matter of if we have a terrorist attack like 9/11. Now it's a matter of when. We've got 300,000+ dead Americans due to fentanyl coming across that border during the Biden administration. We've got prices that people can't afford based on this government, and we've got Joe Biden and the left calling our former president and our future president a dictator when they're the ones that force people to accept experimental medicine into their bodies or suffer losing their jobs. They're the ones that are forcing us to buy certain vehicles and not allowing us to buy other ones. They are the ones that impose essentially a dictatorship on us. And I just don't know when all of my colleagues or enough of my colleagues are going to sense or understand or acknowledge the urgency of the issue. America our values, the way the country was founded is under complete assault. And the time for half measures is long since past.
All right, Congressman, got to leave it there. Always appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, sir. God bless you and your audience.